Hello, this is Ollie's Movie Madness, and I'm going to be doing a movie review of X-Men First Class. This movie is essentially a remake of the first X-Men movie. And I think this movie is okay. It had its good moments and it had its bad moments, but I think it's entertaining. The storyline revolves around the origin of Magneto, Eric Lentrick. He's born in this concentration camp, and he is forced to use his powers by this guy named Klaus Schmidt, who is later to be revealed as Sebastian Shaw, the leader of the Hellfire Club. And he is forced to use his powers. He hesitates. And then Klaus Schmidt had one of his guards shoot and kill Eric's mother because he hesitated to use his powers. And when she dies, Eric unleashes his powers, and that was a really cool scene. He then meets his new friend, Charles Xavier, aka Professor X, soon to be rival. They would be eventually become enemies later on down the road. And it's up to Magneto and Charles to take down Sebastian Shaw in the Hellfire Club. And that's basically what the story is for this movie. I think it executes it for the most part. I think the storyline's okay, but I prefer the storyline in the very first X-Men movie and X2. This one just didn't pull me in. Now, in terms of the Magneto stuff, yes, I love Magneto in this movie. But in terms of everything else, that's a different story. Let's talk about the performances, which I'm very mixed on. Right off the bat, I'll tell you this. I have never enjoyed James McAvoy's portrayal as Charles Xavier. I always thought he was just flat and kind of ridiculous. Now, the interesting thing is, with Michael Fassbender, which we'll get to him in a second, with that guy, he does a tremendous job. I think him and Fassbender have awesome chemistry. But then, when you have a serious moment with Charles and Eric, which all those scenes are great, but then it cuts to Charles dancing while drinking wine and getting drunk. What was that? That was so stupid and out of character. And Charles Xavier is not a jokester. He's a very serious character. And I think that's why I like the Patrick Stewart one way better, because he took the role seriously. But I think McAvoy, he did an okay job. It wasn't good, it was just meh. But either way, the standout performance is Michael Fassbender. He steals the show as Eric Lentrick. Now, is he as great as Ian McKellen? No. But I think for this Virgin Magneto, it works. Magneto, you still feel bad for. He lost his mother. His villain turn is the best part of the movie, where he breaks down crying because Charles Xavier gets shot in the back, which that was a decent change. That was actually better than the way they do in the comics, and he kind of blames himself for not saving his best friend. And when he turns, it actually makes a lot of sense. And I think Fassbender is the best thing in this new X-Men movie franchise. Now, the writing, unfortunately, gets worse, but I think Fassbender's performance gets a little better in each film. But yeah, if I say the best part of the movie is Eric Lentrick. He has a great character arc. His villain turn's amazing. The scene where he talked to Sebastian Shaw in the climax was really cool. Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique, I hate her in this movie. I never liked her as Mystique. She's so boring and not interesting. She's just a nothing character. I didn't mind the kid actress who played her in the opening of this film. She actually did a great job, as well as the kid actor for Charles. I think when the kid actors play the characters, it's actually really fun. It's actually interesting. But when the adults play them, it's kind of weird. Now let's talk about Kevin Bacon as Sebastian Shaw. Now, I will admit, he did a great job, but Shaw as a character is not a terrible villain, but kind of a weak villain. I mean, he's just Sebastian Shaw in name. In the comics, he's from Massachusetts. He's very rich. He's a Nazi prison guard, a Nazi, which doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't remember I don't remember him being a Nazi. I don't remember his name being Klaus, which I get why they did that, because, like, oh, he's German. We gotta make him German. His motivation does not make any sense at all. It really doesn't. Okay, torturing Jews and killing them, and torturing Magneto and turning him into a villain, that was fun. That was a great idea. But then you go from torturing a young Jewish boy into wanting to start World War III? What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, torturing Magneto, I get, like, making Eric turn bad was fun, but, like, you go from that, then, okay, I already broke this Jewish kid's dream, so I'm gonna get called World War III, which doesn't make any sense. His death, I will admit, his death is amazing. The way Sebastian Shaw goes down is pretty messed up for an X-Men movie. I mean, it's one thing to get shot in the head, but, like, to have a little coin, like, cut through your skull, oh dear, that is really dark. And that's the best death in any X-Men movie, right up there with Cassandra Nova's death in Deadpool and Wolverine. The directing by Matthew Vaughn, I'm kind of mixed. I think the stuff he does with Magneto is great, but the stuff he does with Sebastian Shaw just doesn't make sense. Again, I mentioned this before. You go from torturing Jews into starting World War III. I don't get that. I don't get why those things go together. I thought he did an okay job. Like, the friendship between Charles and Magneto is the highlight of the movie. It's actually my favorite thing, because, like, you buy them as friends, and when they turn against one another, it was really great. Especially the line where Magneto finally wears his helmet and he says, "Unfortunately, Charles, I can no longer trust you." And that was a really dark scene. The conversations between Charles and Eric was actually funny. I think McAvoy's performance actually got better in the climax. It wasn't great, but it was a lot better than the first two halves. So overall, I think Matthew Vaughn did an okay job with the directing. I just prefer the first two X-Men films, directed by Bryan Singer. The action sequences are great. I take it back, they're okay, but that climax was really great. Like, it had a lot of emotional stuff with Magneto and Charles. That was cool. But in conclusion, I thought this movie was decent. I think Fassbender sealed the movie. If you're going to watch it for him. The final battle is excellent, especially Magneto's villain turn. That was a great idea, and it executes it really well. But again, Charles Xavier cracking jokes. Oh, I forgot to mention Janeway Jones. She does nothing in this movie. She plays Emma Frost. And again, much like Kevin Bacon, that's just Emma Frost in name. Now, Sebastian Shaw, he has some good dialogue. He goes like, protecting your fellow mutants. That's a noble gesture. And when he kills Darwin, he says, adapt to this. Some of Sebastian Shaw's lines are memorable, but again, he just feels like he's a completely different character. And I think Kevin Bacon is the weakest part of this movie. He's not terrible. He's not as bad as Oscar Isaac in X-Men Apocalypse, but he's just miscast. I think you need, like, Liev Schreiber. That would be a better casting choice. Or Bryan Cranston. But overall, I think X-Men First Class is decent. So I give this film a 7 out of 10. It's fun but flawed. So that is my movie review of X-Men First Class. Hope you guys enjoyed.